So it's that time of the year again, the Coachella Festival, and it seems like many people are willing to do whatever it takes to get their hands on some tickets. Now, this topic is close to home for me just because I was in the rave scene, the festival scene for many years. Now, this was a long time ago, but I feel like I can really speak to this, so I'll get into that in just a second. But something that's newer, I feel, I don't know, I'm sure this was a thing back when I was, going to these things in 2018, but the buy now, pay later options. Now, wow, this is just off the walls. Like I read something that more than 60% of people paid for Coachella tickets using, buy now, pay later. This is definitely obviously not ideal. If people are doing this, it's because that's pretty much their only options besides like credit cards. But one of the worst parts about this is that you're gonna be paying for these tickets after the event already happened. So imagine already having gone through it and you're still stuck paying. Obviously, it's not fun to do that, right? Another thing, let's say your income decreases drastically or you lose your job, God forbid. These tickets are going to be the last thing you're going to be worried about. You're going to be, paying for food, housing, while these tickets are racking up interest charges and late fees. Imagine how sad it will be having to pay like double the amount of these tickets. So in this video, I want to give you the best way, in my opinion, to pay for, not only this event, but like for vacations in general without having to dig yourself in a hole, okay? I never went to Coachella in particular, but I have gone to other festivals and raves. I was actually a videographer for them. Now, when I was in the rave scene, before I did video for them, there was a lot of events that I couldn't go to just because, I wasn't able to go. And yes, the FOMO was so real, especially if all your friends were going and this was like the event of the time. There was always another one, but it felt like this is the one to be at. It's an illusion. It's an illusion, now that I've been out for all these years, it's always something new. It's always something new. And if you're able to, I urge you, please set this one out. No event, nothing is worth going into debt over, digging yourself in a hole and having to deal with it for months and months and months afterward, maybe even years sometimes. It's just not worth it, I'm telling you. The best thing you can do is get yourself some productive hobbies with people that have other interests that are not just raves and going out, right? Get yourself some hobbies, play pickleball. Like that's like one of my favorite things to do. Go to some painting classes. Just go to your local events. And there's always, if you go to meetup.com, you'd be surprised how many events are happening near you that are actually free. They got music, they got food, and go with your loved ones. You don't have to spend an arm and a leg to have fun. And maybe you'd be better off also to not look at people's pages that are going to Coachella, just so, out of sight, out of mind. So occupy your time with, productive things, and this will definitely help combat FOMO, okay? So hopefully I've done an okay job at convincing you to maybe sit this one out or maybe go to next year to the next event. There's always another one, right? But you will have so much more fun. You will have so much more peace about it. It's just so worth it. So with all that being said, the first thing that you want to do is open up a savings fund specifically for this event, right? Or vacation. I know this video is about Coachella, but I'm just going to be calling it a vacation because it can, it's more broad that way, it can apply to pretty much anything. And I recommend this savings fund to be in a high yield savings account. So my favorite and the one I use is called Ally, and I love it because you get more interest than just a traditional bank, right? But all you have to do is open up just one savings account and you can divide it up into different buckets. So one bucket can be if you want to buy a car, that could be its own bucket. If you want to go on vacation, that could be its own bucket. So it's just so amazing. But do your research. There's a lot of different high yield savings accounts out there. So what you want to do, have this bucket, right? Name it your vacation, make it a name that gets you excited. And you want to come up with a goal, a monetary goal. How much money do you want to save up? So this is including tickets, hotel, transportation. You always want a cushion in there. The max number that you think you'll need for this vacation. So when you have your goal, let's say the goal is $2,000. Next, you want to divide that number. So divide $2,000 by the amount of months that you want to have this funded by. So let's say you want to have it done in 6 months, right? So just divide 2,000 by 6, and that means that you have to put in $333 in this fund each month to have it funded by the time you want to like buy your tickets and stuff like that. And I must say, since you're adding money to this fund every single month, every single time you put money in there, there's like a built-in excitement that, it's like a year of just looking forward to this. So it's fun. It's a fun thing to do, and seeing yourself get closer and closer to this goal, it is awesome. You're not gonna like me for what I'm about to say, okay? So brace yourselves. If you don't have an emergency fund of at least $1,000, you really shouldn't be going on vacation. Okay, I said it. I said it. It's true, y'all. It is true. So one of those accounts, one of those savings buckets that you should have should be an emergency fund. This is for everybody, of a minimum $1,000. And I say that because most emergencies, $1,000 should be able to cover it. That's a good buffer, right? And this should go without saying, but no, you should not be using this $1,000 to fund your vacation. Okay, this is only for emergencies, bona fide emergencies, not TVs, not clothes, nothing like that. And even if you have a lot of debt, still always pay the minimums because you don't want to fall behind with that. but you still want to prioritize this $1,000 starter emergency fund, just so if anything were to happen, you don't have to go deeper into debt. Hopefully, you're not too mad at me for saying that, but this really is in your best interest to do this. And you can do the same method that I said, have a goal, $1,000 or whatever you want, and then divide it up by the months you want to have it and just put a little bit each month. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to rush, you don't have to stress about it, but a little bit each month or whatever you can really goes a long way. So let's say you got your starter emergency fund all full, you got your vacation fund all full, and now you can pay for your tickets, your travel, everything is covered. And a lot of times you might even have money left over in that vacation fund because doing this month after month, you're going to be more like that intention. You're going to be more money conscious. So you might even have some savings left over that you can use for whatever you want. Save it for next year's vacation or whatever. So this is just a whole lifestyle change, delayed gratification. It pays out dividends in the end. It really, really does. So hopefully these tips will help you avoid the buy now, pay later trap, because that's what it is. It's a trap. They're banking on you forgetting or missing a payment and then charging you so much more. Hopefully this will give you another way of, of looking at things so you can, go on that vacation and have fun, but not have to have the stress or the debt or the worry of how to pay for this. You don't need any of that. As long as practice some discipline and just do things a little bit different, it'll go so much better for you. So on this channel, I give very simple tips and tricks on how to better your money situation without having to work more. Click here if you're interested on starting your money management journey. I make it so simple that even kids can understand. So I really hope you enjoy, and thanks so much for watching. Till next time, God bless.